we're going to have Tommy James calling in. Is he on the line now? No, he's coming. He's going to call in. But let me tell you a little about him. He's going to be appearing Saturday, June 11th, at the Pomano Beach Amphitheater. Now, if you would like tickets, you can call 954-519-5500, or you can go to their website, which is pompanobeacharts.org. Let me tell you a little bit about Tommy James. I have not seen them. I've heard them. And the Shondells, it's called Tommy James, of Tommy James and the Shondells. If you saw our magazine in the May issue, you'll see a picture of this very attractive-looking man, and you'll know some of the songs: Crimson and Clover, I Think We're Alone Now, Crystal Blue Persuasion, Hanky Panky, and that's going to be with the Grassroots, Saturday, June 11th at the Pomano Beach Amphitheater. So let me just tell you a little bit about On the Road. Tommy James and his Shondells are still rocking, performing their many timeless hits to sell out crowds across the country. When not on the road, Tommy continues to craft new music geared toward film and television and develop new business opportunities for his company, Aura Entertainment Group. Now, I don't know how old Tommy is, but it's probably interesting because he looks pretty good. You know, it's funny, when you're a musician, you can just go on and on. And so it's, I don't know if he'll tell me how old he is, but when he calls in, it'll be really very interesting. So let me just tell you about a lot of the entertainers who now are coming back. I mean, they have quite a schedule. They go all over the country. They go all over the world. And people in their 60s, maybe their 70s, they know this music. So if you're there and you wanted to hear someone like this, you're going to really enjoy it. I know that and so we're going to hear from Tommy in just a minute, and we're going to hear why he likes to do this. He must be so tired because he's been on the road many years, and I don't know really how many years, but we're going to ask him now. So, Tommy, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
How are you?
Fine. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from just outside New York in New Jersey.
Okay, Tommy. Well, it's very exciting, and you'll be coming down here Saturday, June 11th. I look forward to hearing you. But just tell us, are you tired of all the traveling you do?
Well, the funny part is, the traveling is sort of a pain, but the performing is worth it. Honestly, I have as much fun performing today as I did 40 and 50 years ago. It's the truth. That's
what I was going to ask you. I don't know. We don't want to tell your age, but you could. You sound great. You look great. I guess music does that, doesn't it?
Well, something, I've had such a great time over the years, and the fans have been so great to us. I look out at our concert crowd now, and I literally see 3 generations of people, and it really is wonderful.
Well, I want to ask you a question. I've been going on the, I don't know if you know who Star Vista is in the Flower Power Cruise, and I've been going on those cruises with them, and they have a lot of very interesting people. Have they ever asked you to be one of the people on their cruise?
Well, yeah, we sort of don't do that, though. We basically, I get seasick too easy.
Oh, we don't want you to get seasick. You couldn't sing for us.
Yeah, that's right. The fog machines and seasickness, those really are a problem.
Tell me about the Shondells. Did you make up that name, or is that their name, their last name, or what?
Well, the Shondells was a name I made up in high school, basically, with my second cover band. It was, it's funny. We had 2 little label deals before I was out of high school, and the second one, we changed our name. We were originally called the Tornadoes, and then the Shondells came. I was in study hall one day, and I said, we got to change our name. We got to get a little more sophisticated from the Tornadoes. So Shondells just was a name that sounded it's a name I made up. It just sounded very musical. I liked the way it rolled off my tongue. It just had a real, anything with ELLS on the end, was good enough to be a band.
Well, you're great. Well, how many
anyway,
people?
That's how it happened in study hall.
Oh, study hall. I love that story. So how many people are in your group?
Well, over the years, there's been, the bodies are all strewn all over the place. I basically, the group is 6 of us now, and of course that doesn't include all the technicians and the sound people that go along with us. But the group has basically been a 5 and 6 piece rhythm group forever.
And of all your music, of course, I see all the music here. Which is your very favorite? Or when you get on stage and you start playing it, what do people all scream to hear?
That's really a tough one, because all these songs become like your children after a while, and but we basically no matter what happens, as soon as we play Moni Moni, the CO2 level goes up pretty high in the room. So I'd have to. That's what we end the show with. But honestly, probably my favorite song out of all the records that we did was Crystal Blue Persuasion.
And
that just is, it just hits me right where I live. Strangely enough, Crystal Blue was one of the hardest records we made, because we had originally gone in the studio with it and completely overproduced it. And I laugh a lot of times. I tell the story. We spent the first month making the record, the second month unmaking the record, because we basically pulled out the drums, we pulled out all the guitars, all that was left was like a Hammond organ and a little flamenco guitar and a bongo drum, and that became Crystal Blue Persuasion. So Crystal Blue probably is my favorite of all of them.
Because I was thinking we had Engelbert Humperdinck on the show, and of course it's Please Release Me. We know when he starts that song, everyone goes wild.
Yeah, right. That's the truth.
But I wanted to ask you about this. So when did you know that you wanted to be an entertainer? I mean, you were in study hall, of course, with the Shondells, but were you 5 years old or something? Did your parents encourage you?
Yeah, well, it's funny. I never wanted to do anything else but play music and perform. I guess that's kind of strange, but as far back as I can remember, in our book, I tell the story about having my ear in a speaker of one kind or another my whole life, going back to when I was 4 and 5 years old. My grandfather bought me a ukulele when I was 4 years old, and I started learning all the chords and singing. And when I was 9, I got my first guitar, and taught myself to play and started learning everything on the radio. And so it just one thing led to another. I was in my first rock band when I was 12 years old.
You know what we call you? We call you a child prodigy, Tommy. We call you a child prodigy. You were a musician. You were born with it. Probably.
Yes, indeed. And I all my life I've never wanted to do anything else. So I got my wish. I honestly, and I thank the fans and the good Lord for the kind of longevity we've had.
Yeah, your voice is very strong and really good. So,
well, thank you.
Yeah, it's really wonderful to talk to you about this. So I want everyone to just get your pencils out, because it's Pencil Talk Radio. Write this down. Saturday, June the 11th, the Pomano Beach Amphitheater, and you need to call for tickets. It's 954-519-5500. Don't miss this. Here you have Tommy talking. He's calling in from New York. And that's and you live there, I gather.
That's right.
And so, have you toured around the world, or you just do the United States?
Well, we have been all over, but I frankly, I like playing North America the best. And we basically divide up the year into writing, and we're still making records on our own label. We're doing a movie right now, as a matter of fact.
You are? What's
of our book, Me, the Mob, and the Music, that came out a couple of years ago. And touring is basically one of the 4 or 5 things we do. So I really don't like to go on these really long tours. In fact, I never really understood how anybody could do that, because if I ever went out like Rod Stewart or the Rolling Stones go out for 6 months at a time, they'd find me under a trestle somewhere. I'd be a mess. I don't think I'd last 6 weeks. So we basically do it now during the touring season, which is spring to fall, and we'll do about probably about 30 dates a year. But that's it. That's as much as I want to do.
Have you been writing more songs?
We sure have. We're in the middle of doing a new album right now called Acoustitronics, and it's basically the first acoustic project I've ever done. And when I say acoustic, I don't mean, Michael rowed the boat ashore. I mean, we're doing heavy rhythm, brand new songs, and we're doing songs also for the movie. And I don't know if you knew we were in the middle of this or not, but the film that we're doing is it is a film of our book, Me, the Mob, and the Music, which was about our very scary and tumultuous relationship with Roulette Records. And Roulette Records up in New York was where we had the bulk of our hits, was not only a functioning record label, but it was also a front for the Genovese crime family up here. And of course, this is something we could absolutely not talk about. But they basically, made our careers. We did 110 million records on Roulette. And so the movie is going to be a drama, a very dramatic movie about about this time in our career. And Barbara DeFina is producing it, who produced Goodfellas and Casino and Hugo a couple of years ago with Martin Scorsese. And so it's going to be out and about. We look for it about 2 years, maybe just a little bit less, and we're having a lot of fun doing it.
Are you going to be the star?
Well, we're not actually playing. I'm much too old to be Tommy James,
Well, it's okay. We can put a bag over your head.
Yeah, I'll probably have a cameo. I'll be an elevator operator,
So who will be?
Or something.
So who's the talent?
Well, listen, we've been very fortunate, and I really am very thankful that we can do all this in the middle of performing and all the other stuff. And whoever thought that starting out with a record like Hanky Panky, we'd be doing this for 50 years? I never did. That's the truth. Well,
no, I'm so happy to talk to you because, I really, I knew of you in a distance, but it hasn't been something that's really been on my mind. And then when I heard you came down here, and we said, oh, yeah, well, that would be great. Let's get him on the radio. Let's get him, put an ad in Boomer Times, and let's really see if we can do some promotion. Well, I am just excited as anything now to hear about your movie. But you're still, so as you said, you have a dual role. You're working on that, but you're still going around the country.
Oh, yeah. We're still performing every year. That's right.
Do you have a family?
I do. I have a grown son. My wife, Linda, is one of the great joys of my life, and I've been very fortunate to have a lot of love around me my whole life.
I know, I can hear that. Tell me about your parents. Are they living?
They're not. They're gone. I miss them terribly, but I was an only child and always got the very best of whatever they had. And I'm a Midwest kid. I grew up in Michigan.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I've lived on the East Coast really since my first hit record. We were very lucky to get it right out of high school, And so I've been so fortunate to have, as I said, have a lot of love around me my whole life.
What was your first record?
Well, the first record was Hanky Panky.
Ah, okay.
And that came out in 1966 and started the ball rolling for us. Hanky Panky was the record that I was literally right out of high school. I had recorded it in high school. I recorded it in the radio studio of WNIL in Niles, Michigan in 1964. And I graduated the next year from high school, and in 1966, Hanky Panky just sort of exploded out of Pittsburgh 2 years after I made it. was one of those only in America stories. And boom, we were on our way. And the next thing I knew, I was in New York, signed with Roulette Records, and we ended up with 23 gold singles.
That is just amazing. So who's your favorite female star vocalist?
My favorite female star?
Yeah.
Well, I have, for the longest time, I've really loved Sheryl Crow.
Oh, my.
Sheryl Crow for probably the longest time. And if you want to go back in the day, I'd have to say Dusty Springfield.
Oh, well, you're certainly bringing up the past here.
Yeah.
I wanted to go back to the hanky-panky. I was thinking as you said that, we used to say, that was a term we would say, listen, stop with the hanky-panky, right?
Yep.
And that's where I guess, did you, because you heard that, that's why you made the title, or did we get it from your title?
I didn't write Hanky Panky. My first record, Hanky Panky, was written by Jeff Barry and Ella Greenwich, the Brill Building, songwriting team. And they had originally recorded it by a group called the Raindrops in the early 60s. And I had heard another group play this rock and roll version of it, and I said, boy, we got to do that. I had a little record label deal back in southern Michigan when I was in high school. And so we recorded Hanky Panky, and all I could remember is "My Baby Does the Hanky Panky," and we made up the rest of the song. And the record came out in '64, and it did okay. It didn't blow the doors down, but we had no national distribution, so it was just a regional hit. And then 2 years later, I was as I said, I graduated high school in 1965, and I took my band on the road, and we played all up, through the Midwest, clubs and so forth. And then in early '66, right in the middle of my 2 weeks at one of these clubs, a shabby little club in Wisconsin, the IRS shut the club owner down, and we ended up having to go back home. And so, but thank God, because it was a miracle, because as soon as I got home, I got a call from Pittsburgh that changed my life. It seems that this record, Hanky Panky, had found its way to Pittsburgh, and they started playing it, and it exploded in Pittsburgh, and they bootlegged it, sold 80,000 of them in 10 days, and they tracked me down. And if I hadn't have been home at that moment, if that club owner hadn't have gone belly up, we wouldn't be talking today.
Isn't that something?
They got me. I went to Pittsburgh, picked up the first, bar band I could find to be the Shondells, and made it to New York the next week. And that's how fast everything happened. And suddenly we had the number one record in the country. And that started us on our way the summer of '66.
Just think about this, Tommy, that if we had social media at that time, you would have had millions and millions of people watching and listening.
Well, something, I think one of the things that's so great is now we have the internet, which is the greatest calling card in the world.
Yeah.
And so it's just amazing how the delivery system of the music business has changed over the years. So many things haven't changed, but that's one thing that has changed, the technology. And, it would have been incredible if we'd had this technology 40 and 50 years ago.
Sure.
But now we literally can hit everybody in the world now.
Sure. So are you on YouTube? So tell people how they can find you on the internet.
Sure. Well, our website, of course, TommyJames.com, but also we're on Facebook, just Tommy James and the Shondells, and we have our own. We have a little show on YouTube. They asked me if I would do a series of little shows where we perform some of the records that we're working on now, and so where you just type in my name and I pop up like crabgrass.
That's great. And we have probably about 3 minutes or less. Tell me about the Shondells very quickly. Who are they, and are they the same like you, the same group you've had all these years?
Well, the group that I perform with now is a group that's been with me since the middle '80s.
Huh.
And so the original group dissolved in 1970. We went from 1966 to 1970, and then I basically from that point I had a solo career until about 1978, and then the Shondells and I sort of reformed after in the late 70s, and we've been performing ever since. So it's been a long road, literally from 1966 till now. So that's 50 years.
My goodness.
That in the major leagues, and then about another 6 years in the minor leagues before that.
Well, you are terrific. I can't wait to see you, everybody. Let me just say, though, so appearing Saturday, June 11th at the Pomano Beach Amphitheater. For tickets, please call 954-519-5500 or go to pompanobeacharts.org. And on the road, he and the Shondells are still rocking, performing their many timeless hits to sell out crowds across the country. When not on the road, Tommy continues to craft new music geared toward film and television and develop new business opportunities for his company called Aura Entertainment Group. And we're going to be looking forward to that movie when it comes out in a couple of years.
Thank you so much, and thank you for the beautiful introduction and the great interview.
Well, you're terrific, Tommy. I'll see you on Saturday.
Thank you so much. You take care.
Thank you, Tommy. Bye.
Bye-bye.